Hello, hello. What's going on out there, crypto world? Hope you all had an awesome weekend. It's coming to the close. It's time for everyone's favorite day, Monday. It actually is kind of like my favorite day. I am in the service industry, so Sunday is kind of like my Friday. You're listening to No Noise Research. I'm your host, Z-Rex. Coming at you live on September 30th, 2018, where we like to talk about crypto here, general finance, strategies, risk management is one of the best things that, or most important things I believe that people should discuss. Let me go ahead and go to live screen before I forget that, because I do that sometimes. Couple things, or one thing that I thought was newsworthy was DEX CZ over at Binance talked about doing a DEX in early 2019. He's been very pro-DEX, saying that it is, quote, I believe that decentralized exchanges is the future. I don't know when that future will come yet. I think we're at an early stage for that, so I don't know if it is a year, 2 years, 3, or 5 years. He just keeps saying he doesn't know. No one really knows. I do agree with him, though. DEXs are super badass and definitely the future. If you don't know any DEXs, check out BitShares. It is pretty badass. You can lend on it, and or you can borrow against it because there's not any rates that you get, but you can put up your BitShares up as collateral and get dollars because they have a dollar pair built onto the chain. It's pretty cool. Highly recommend checking that out. All right, enough about that. Let's get into markets, what everybody really cares about. Here is the market cap. We are coming back up, teetering right with that 225 area. You know, that's been the ceiling for a hot minute. If we zoom out on this for like the last 30 days or so, you can see we kind of met that around here about a week ago, and here we are, one more test. Bitcoin dominance is still above 50. You know, you had some big movers, Ripple. Let's go actually just go ahead and check out some of the big movers here. We will have to filter some of this crap, as we always do, because y'all know, man, not most of this shit is garbage. I like to do it around 300 to half a million. Half a billion, I'm sorry. You'd get every shit coin in that one. Bitcoin Gold, funny enough, is up the most out of the everything that has a 300 million market cap or up. Bitcoin Cash making a nice run. Let's see the last 24 hours. Ripple's up there. Let's go look at the Ripple chart. We've been talking about that for a little bit. It also got major headlines too when it finally broke out. I'm sure you couldn't have missed it. So again, Ripple's been looking really strong even after this big move, bouncing off the longest term MA here, and this is an exponential 377, if you wanted to know. And on the 4 hour, just pinging up the 21 exponential this whole way. Here is going to be the hardcore resistance. This is the tops of these bodies. It does look like it's trying to get back over them. You know, we've been talking about this is bullish as long as it can hold. Now that it's up in this area, I would say the lower 50s, mid 50s, say about 52, 53, and ultimately, if it can stay above this orange 55 exponential, which is putting us in at about 52 right now, 52 cents. And so, it's still looking pretty good. As you can see, it's been picking up. I mean, it's probably up 10% in the last few days, it looks like. Even on the hourly, let's look at some oscillators. On the hourly, it's slightly bullish, but pretty neutral overall. 4 hour is definitely bullish, and the daily is still very bullish. I wonder if the 3-day and weekly are bullish. Yeah, the 3-day is super bullish still. And you can see here, even when it had this big spike, Ripple continued to go up to $3. Now, everything did in this time frame. This is December of last year, probably when most everybody got interested in the crypto market, at least. Maybe didn't invest in it yet, but you definitely were. It piqued your interest, that's for sure. You know, things tripling, quadrupling. I'm just referencing Bitcoin in that because there was lots of tens of thousands of percent moves. That was pretty insane. But this is looking pretty good. Ripple hanging out right here at these tops. You could play like a pretty safe breakout right here. Like a breakout trade, something along these lines. Let me set this up real quick. Man, I wish there was a default where I didn't have to have so much box here. There we go. And let's say right here about to the 55 exponential, you could put that in. Because if we break out of this part right here, guys, I mean, we're looking for a retest of this wick, most certainly. And that puts us, and that's like a 30-ish% run. So I do think, even if you take this all the way down to the 21 exponential in the 4 hour, you're still getting a, you know, over 6 to 1. And as y'all know, I like to do at least, you know, 2.5 or so to 1. I prefer to get around 3. Sometimes you just can't get those though. So, you know, got to do what you got to do. All right. So let's go back to the oh, I'm sorry, to the market cap. Just kind of check out some stuff. Oh, IOTA getting some love. Everything is pretty damn flat. I mean, you look at these percentage. I mean, the highest in even 7 days is only 2 or over double digits. Let's see on the low end, about the same on the low end. So the market is super quiet right now, and I'm sure y'all have noticed that just from trading it. Let's go ahead and jump into the BTC chart, or just watching it. Maybe you don't trade. But yeah, I mean, it is super quiet. We've been smashed in here, and we talked about this on the video a while ago, that we're probably just going to chop between this 21 and 55 exponential. It has been tough time to get out of this range in the last really couple weeks. It's just been a magnet for price, and I mean, you're talking only a few $100 pretty much, and all the oscillators are getting extremely coiled up, like on every time frame, which you don't see too often. Let's see on the 3-day. Yeah, even on the 3-day, look at this, how tight they're getting, and look how, since August, I mean, the RSI has just been floating around 50. You can see it a little bit more, I believe, on the DMI indicator right here. Let me go ahead and go to big screen. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, you can see that about right here. So everything is compressing like hardcore. We are just waiting for price to break, like we talked about in the video. I don't have longs or shorts anymore. I played a couple of those little scalps, but now I'm just kind of like, the range is getting so compressed. It's getting tough to play. It's a little choppy. It's kind of dangerous, in my opinion, to kind of play around in these zones, because with this coiling, and even if you zoom out a little bit to, you know, back over here, a lot of people are talking about this horizontal. Let me make it a little bigger because you can't see shit like that. Boom. I'll make it the pink line. So a lot of people are talking about, you know, this kind of pink line being the support, and this being a descending triangle, which you could definitely make a case for that. So we are compressed into, I mean, the last part of this triangle. I mean, it literally has till October roughly to keep coiling if it wants to. I don't think it'll take that long. I think we will break out here in the next week or so. To me, that's what price is kind of showing us. Even in this tiny little pattern here, we are getting incredibly compressed. You usually don't have price coil up, especially on Bitcoin, something that has high volatility like it does, between the 21 and 55. I'm even like looking just a little bit, glancing back here at the chart, you can kind of see that there isn't many areas where price is just between it, you know, like maybe here, kind of around here, you know, like around here. And it's hard to say the direction of the move, right? No one really ever knows that. But it does seem, if we go to like a 4 hour, or I'm sorry, the hour, they are battling pretty hardcore up here, but it looks like the bulls might try to get this. And all they need is, like, that's what's interesting, all they need is about $100 from here to the upside. And all these exponentials on the hourly are starting to open and point towards the upside. If someone held a gun to my head, I had to pick a direction, I would be slightly bullish here. And y'all know I have been kind of bullish a little bit in this mid 6 area, just because we've been getting a lot of support. Seems like a little bit more than we did. If we look, zoom out to a 4 hour, let's do that. So you're getting quite a bit of buy volume pop up when volume is above average, since this sell-off here, which was really pretty lame, and most everybody was kind of saying Goldman Sachs or some crap. Yeah, you know, whatever, news doesn't really matter, but, you know, everybody got scared and started dumping, and since that dump, we literally have gone sideways almost the whole time. It's definitely gone sideways longer than I anticipated for. They are burning and bleeding people out here. We talked about it in this video here that we were going to see at least probably a week of some sideways action. Well, guess what? We pretty much got the rest of the month of a whole bunch of nothingness. The monthly did close yesterday, or I'm sorry, today. Earlier today it did. So we are on a new fresh monthly. In this monthly, guys, let me make this a little bit lighter so it's not, there we go. In this monthly, guys, right here, look where this trend line is, and it's pretty much right on top of it. October is going to be the month that Bitcoin moves quite a bit and this market does something. I firmly believe that. Now, the direction is definitely really hard to tell from here. Traditionally, when you start chipping away at a support or a resistance, the more times you hit it, the more likely it will break to that side. But you know, you could argue both sides really easily right here. You could argue it's banged on it a bunch of times up here, almost about to be like 6-ish, and the same on the bottom end. So it's really tough. This price action is really pissing people off. A lot of my friends that trade, you know, it's definitely made everybody, you can like feel the confusion for sure. But I am going to just wait until we see something like this, a blowout on the hourly DMI. That's kind of the one I'm watching the most now, and then I will ultimately want confirmation with that 4 hour, which right now price, since this longest term exponential is coming up right here to this trend line, I mean, you're talking price like October, it's it, and it's likely going to be in the next week or two. I don't think it'll go to late October. October, if you check out on the No Noise Twitter, October, I called it like October surprises because there is quite a few of them. And it's almost 50-50 if it's up or down, but they're always pretty big moves, and they usually happen in the beginning of the month. So I was just kind of checking that out and doing some research on that today and yesterday, and that's kind of the conclusion that I came to. One thing that is bullish here on this 4 hour is all this selling got picked up right above the 21 exponential and closed. So that's a pretty good sign that buyers are pretty strong here, bulls are pretty strong, and they also came above all the exponentials too here. So for this to stay at a good momentum, this probably the bulls should probably start picking it up here in the next day or two, was what I would like to see. Let's see if Ethereum, Mr. Unicorn Shirt Man, see what he's telling us. Pretty neutral on the daily. We did talk about all that volume right here. The volume has kind of tapered off. Still pretty high. The average is still up here. So, and we had this good divergence on the indicators, had this nice little bounce, which we talked about on this candle, and then definitely after this candle when you have, let me zoom in on that and show you. So yeah, if you go check out the video on here, we discuss it in detail after this engulfing candle, after capitulation in the volume, and I go in detail about this one and how they're a little bit different, and I was more cautious on this one than I was on this one. This had a lot better profile to it, if you will, to traditional kind of bottoming hammers like this. High volume engulfing on the next one, right at the support of the channel. Continued volume like up into this, a retest to the channel, and then breakout. That's pretty textbook. That's why I'm leaning a little bit bullish, because some of these, like Ethereum, Litecoin, especially looks a little bit bullish to me. You don't really have much divergence. I mean, I guess someone might call this, you do have one 230 here versus 235, and you know, you have pretty much flat RSI and slightly downward sloping DMI, but that's not really that big of a deal. I'm not really concerned about Ethereum unless it breaks kind of this trend line that it's up in, which let's just slap a price on there of about 200 bucks, because that gives you a nice little cushion too. So that's about right here. On the 4 hour, it's neutral. On the daily, it is neutral. And on the hourly, it is slightly bullish. And price is above the 21 exponential. And nice little dip, and buyers came in just as they did on Bitcoin too, and the other currencies. I noticed this across the board. Lots of stuff took nice little dips and got bought up. That could have been like the last attempt to get trap a lot of people, make some liquidity, to pump this up to the upper side. So right now, if it actually breaks 225, looking at the hourly, I'm not going to like it. And I will be keeping an eye on this hourly DMI, which we talk about almost daily. This is going to give you a clue of the direction a lot earlier than other stuff. And if it's in the power zone, y'all, then it is a nice sign, especially if you have price going underneath the 21 exponential with it. So those are always good signals. Let's go look at Litecoin. Oh. Litecoin almost got stopped out on this little setup that we put on a, what was it, yesterday, I believe. It had a decent little pop. Probably wouldn't have caught that though, unless you're sitting by your computer all the time. That was kind of the first intermediate target, was the middle of that channel. But the longer term target is kind of like up to these highs roughly. And this is a 618 extension from this sell-off. As you can see, it's just teetering here. It's been in losses most of the time, although just barely, only about 1.5% roughly. Almost got out of the box here, but got scooped up fairly quickly, and now it's back above the 21 exponential. And it is noticeably more bullish on the DMI on the 1 hour and on the 4 hour than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's interesting. Litecoin, Mr. Charlie Lee, even though I know he doesn't have any Litecoin, or he says he doesn't have any Litecoin, looks to be a little bit bullish here. I do have excuse me, one reason I am kind of bullish. It's not because I want it to be like go up to 20K or some crap like that. Just thinking from like the market, a lot of people are bearish right now, and no one really knows. They're just waiting for it to break out either way. This is just a total gut kind of feeling. Who's this alternative thinking here? Sorry. What cryptocurrency do I use to pay for porn? All of them. I'm recording this overlooking a grassy field with trees. With 2 doors. Yeah, I probably am. That's probably somebody I know playing jokes on me. I probably know who that is now. Haha, you think you're funny over there, guy. But yeah, I use all the cryptocurrencies to pay for porn, you know, whichever one gives me the best deal. No, I think Pornhub is actually getting like 1% of their payments already with crypto, which is pretty cool. But anyway, after that distracting comment here, I do still think, back to what I was talking about, I do think that to get everyone really excited, like you have to think of the path of least resistance, and I think to get everybody really excited about crypto to go long, and be, you know, kind of get everybody back on board, maybe take us up to like 8K is probably enough to do that. See, I told you so. We broke out of this channel. Everybody's been watching it, or this trend line. Everybody's been watching it. And then do like some rug pulling after that. And you know, that euphoria, since it's already October, it's the 4th quarter, that euphoria could easily last into Christmas time and get us like in this area to just roll over hardcore next year. I just don't know if we've gotten capitulation yet. This sideways action I have talked about does kind of do the same thing and pisses people off, but I'm not sure if we're quite there yet. And I think a pump, regardless, before a breakdown, because a breakdown from here, unless it is that final capitulation moment, a breakdown from here is going to be swift. It's going to be nasty, too. I wouldn't be surprised if we went down to like 5K really fast if we broke 6150 even. So, I just think maybe there's a setup, and that's totally just my opinion and feeling. I'm not trading off of that. I'm waiting for confirmation on stuff, which we don't quite have yet, but it is looking, this structure on this chart is looking slightly bullish to me. So if I had to pick, like I said earlier, that's what I would do. Let's go to EOS. EOS is the best. I'm a permabull. No, I'm actually not a permabull. I actually want it to go to 2,500 to 3,000. I've talked about that pretty much since I've been making these videos, because in that way we can get that out of the way, and then we can continue the bull market. Right now we're just in like kind of a no man's land where the ceiling can just get busted through and the floor can get busted through, so it makes it a lot more difficult to trade instead of just having it get capitulation now like we kind of did in 2014. That's actually when it happened, was in the last quarter. I'll just go ahead and show you that since we're talking about it real quick. I am permanent bullish in the long-term picture. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin will test all-time highs again within the next 3 years, like totally. But yeah, like I said, the next 3 years though. And I was telling people to sell actually in January and late December. So yeah, you got to get out of there, man. Not when you get this kind of hype and then your grandma buys or something up here. Yeah, you know it's close. But anyway, let's go back to what I was just referencing, the sell-off in 2014. Yeah, so in the last part, the capitulation stage of this bear market in Bitcoin is shown right here, from right when it broke below here to all the way down to here to about 160 bucks roughly. And if you look, this is the beginning of October. It went from about 375 all the way down to 180. It's about a 60% drop. Bear trap first, yeah, that's what I would love to see. That's where so you're kind of thinking maybe the same way I am. Like, October actually a lot of times has had some good dumps right in the beginning of the month, and that would be awesome if we get like a flash crash from here, like 1,000 on crazy high volume, like $1,000 bucks, not $1,000. Man, that would be dope. That would be like a perfect setup for us to just go bananas in later this year, because November to December is better performance because October has a lot of wild cards. It's almost like the month that decides if we're going to pump hard for the rest of the year or not. So yeah, but I would love to see that bear trap. And what's crazy is you could even do it from here and not even go that low. You could go to like mid 5,000s and set that up real nice, because everybody and their mom would start getting short right there. Yeah, and that would be like panic time. But yeah, so 2014 October started dumping. October's the month, guys. It's going to tell us I think the next October, the first 2 weeks of October should tell us what the rest of the year will bring. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Just waiting for that. Bear trap first. Let's bring it. Alternative thinking. Start dumping all your millions of coins, dude. Manipulate that market, bro. Alright, let's go back to EOS, where we left off here. I'm surprised I even remembered that. Still kind of breaking out of this zone here. We put this trade back on there. It's still... Man, look at that. EOS got bought up hardcore on that dump that we had across the board earlier today. Didn't close below it. Actually came all the way back up and made a really funky-ass candle. But, yeah, so this trade is still decent. You probably would have taken a lot of this off in this bigger pump coming up on your longer term exponential, the 377. I know I would have taken about 70% off at least when this happened. You know, because your risk to reward is different when the price gets up here. You know, why not lock in some of those gains, baby? We talk about it all the time. Managing winners is key to success in trading. It really, really is. Getting bearish on the 4 hour though, on the DMI. That's not the best look. How about on the hourly? Oh, hourly, the bears and the bulls are both in the power zone. Again, that is a more rare thing, but that is indicative of coiling up and price compression. So we are, man, guys, there's so many charts that are showing this. It's about to get insano badass with some price action. So at least we can get excited that the price is moving, or maybe upset, depending if you're like super extra long on leverage, right? Let's see here. So EOS is confirming that, man, we're about to get some massive movement. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and move to XLM because it was on the top of that list, and then I'm going to go to equities. Ooh, XLM is looking pretty nice here. It's been making a lot of higher lows and compressing at the top. It's kind of like a slight triangle, sort of like that. Man, look how great artist I am. Something like that, right? So it's a nice ascending triangle. Price breaking out of 26.5, and the 4 hour is looking very bullish. The 1 hour, wow, look at this too. Both of them are in the power zone. See? Woo, man, this is going to be a fun couple of weeks. Do be ready. It's like every chart, and I haven't looked at many charts today, so every damn chart is kind of saying the same thing. Who am I? Alternative thinking? I'm Zrex, dude. Who are you? Let's see here. Let's go to Tron, because we haven't looked at Tron in a while. Tron, I forget that it's like on... If you go to Tron, if I type that in here, look at all these different pairs. I mean, it's traded in quite a few different places. Same kind of thing. Super compressed price action. Jesus. I swear, if this has been like a third of the videos that I've made have been this same thing. Let's see. Yep, just compression, neutral on all the time frames, even on Tron. I mean, Jesus, we just can't get any love. All right, so since everything's compressing and we're waiting, we're at the very edge of the triangle on Bitcoin. It's pretty obvious that everything is kind of waiting for it to do something. And one thing to note when we go over here to equities is we are about to have earnings too. Earnings season is upon us in October. It's closer to the middle of October. And that's when I'm thinking that a lot of the moves for the general markets, crypto, everything are going to be starting to happen. And we should get some good info from some of the reports and earnings things. And, you know, also there are going to be companies in there that are in the space. AMD, NVIDIA, even though NVIDIA, I believe, said that they were, like, quitting the crypto space because, you know, it sucks and it's over pretty much. I talk about that in a video from a while back. I timestamp all of them so you can go check that out, but it's pretty funny. I do live chat with my viewers. I've actually read almost every one of your messages out loud. So, do you not answer the questions, bro? What is your name? And then I'll give you my name. How about that? Let's see here. ES. This is the S&P 500. And also, I prefer, instead of talking about names, I'd actually just prefer if you ask maybe some tickers to check out, or finance related. There we go. There we go. Let's do that. Opinion on Bitcoin Cash and Monero. Actually, we usually look at Monero. Let me jump over there real quick. I totally forgot privacy coins. So Monero, oh my goodness, you're not going to believe this. It's also compressing. Look at this on the 3-day. Jesus, a month straight. of just bootiness. Jeez, yeah, I mean, we can't get more coiled up than this, y'all. Like, this move that's coming out of this is going to be very large. I mean, even on the weekly, it's been compressing since, like, August. I mean, this is pretty intense, man. I bet if we put Bollinger Bands on all these, you know, they would be squeezed up. Super squeezed. Monero, if you're talking about tech-wise and stuff, it's probably one of the better cryptos for privacy. I'm not a huge fan of Fluffy Pony, though. It's tough. I think if people used Bitcoin like the white paper talked about, yeah, I did see that alternative thinking, that big bug. I mean, even Bittrex like pulled them. Polo pulled them. That means it's real bad, right? I guess, you know, they're the ones that everybody thinks has the best tech. I'm not sure if that's going to be true. A good friend of mine likes Zcash a lot. But again, back to what I was saying about Bitcoin, if people used it like the paper, if you used a new transaction for every single time you sent or received money, then, you know, that makes it way harder to track anything. But it is a lot more work, right? So, I don't, a lot of people like Dash. I don't know. Monero, that bug, is kind of like, especially for it being out so long, it doesn't put the best taste in my mouth, but it's kind of like, it seemed a little bit fuddy to me, so... You know, Monero's been around for a hot minute, and it's like the most accepted. The community accepts it the most. So until something replaces it, like community-wise, it's probably number one. Bitcoin Cash. I actually like Bitcoin Cash. I know people will hate me and be like, oh, well, screw this guy. Turn it off. And the reason I like Bitcoin Cash is because everyone hates it. That's why. If I had to just name one thing... That's it. Oh, was it in the Wall Street Journal? What'd they talk about? Yeah, Bitcoin Cash, I really don't see why everyone hates it so much. It has lots of support, lots of merchants use it. You know, it has a certain part of the community that got divided with Bitcoin, that left, that has, you know, good developers and you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's got definitely the foundation. But everyone just hates it. Everyone hates Roger Ver, you know, for whatever reason. And it's like Ripple. When I was talking about Ripple, how I liked it a few years ago. And, you know, everybody's like, hell no. Even in all throughout 2017, you know, everybody's like, oh, Ripple, that's stupid. You know, pretty much screw Ripple. And I was like, oh, dude, this is great. Because when everybody hates something... or there's like so much hate towards it, just like hate towards Bitcoin and most of the crypto sector back in 2015, and it just went sideways for the whole year. You know, that's the best time to start loading up on things, when no one likes it. And no one's ever liked Bitcoin Cash. So I do think that when the market turns, Bitcoin Cash is actually going to outperform Bitcoin. I know that sounds probably crazy, but on a percentage basis, I do strongly believe that. Yeah, the government is... they're pretend worried about money laundering, in my opinion. Yeah, and you know, though, that they came out recently about Monero. I think it was the... Damn, it was the NSA or FBI. It was one of the alphabet agencies. And they were saying that they already hacked and can figure out Monero, and they don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. They already can, like, piece it together and all that, which could be very true already. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to tell. Because if the tech is truly, like, 20 years ahead, like they say on average, like, DARPA tech and government tech, I mean, hell. Like, that's just even scary to think about right now. But they're not worried about money laundering. They like to launder money. The banks do it all the time. There's a good article that was even in the Wall Street Journal talking about Shapeshift and them getting in trouble for like, oh man, they laundered like 9 million, dude. It's crazy. And then they compare it to, and this is like from like I can't remember the source, but it's a credible source, like even the government source, which is kind of a slight oxymoron, but it's like, what else are you going to use? You just use their own source against them. And it's like banks launder like $2.6 billion every day. So, you know, it's pretty silly, in my opinion. It definitely could be in the top 5. I think Bitcoin Cash and privacy coins are actually going to be the bigger movers when the market turns. Because people are going to realize that Bitcoin's not private, like, at all. Not in the way that everyone uses it now. Like I said earlier, if you make a new address every single time, then it can be pretty damn private, but, you know, and use VPNs and, like, mess, you know, just kind of mess the track up a little bit, but, you know, I don't know. Ultimately, if you want to be super private, you probably should just use cash, right? I know that doesn't work, especially I see for your cam girls. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. Yeah, you probably could use any crypto for that. Hell, I don't see why it would matter. Alright, so Bitcoin Cash is actually looking pretty damn bullish here. I'm glad you mentioned that so we can check it out. Bullish on the 4 hour. It's not neutral like everything else. On the 1 hour, it is also bullish. So, very interesting. How about the 3 day? 3 day is neutral. Alright. But more bullish than the other currencies. Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash seem to be the most bullish bunch right now. What is this stupid little dot? Let's get rid of that. Relatively. Alright. Let me go over here. Oh, no. Can't do that. Can't do that, man. No buying pizza. No pizza place takes crypto. That'd be crazy. Alright, so we got ES over here. Still doing this thing. We've been talking about this since it finally broke out. Using the 21 daily to get long deltas. And it's been working like a charm. I did miss this last one, and I talked about it in the video. It's like the market knows when you drink or do something and don't, you know, play the next day. Don't show up. It does something like really badass. It's exactly what happened. I swear if I had $10 for every time that happened, I wouldn't even need to trade. I'd just wait for those because it would happen so often. So crazy. But yeah, this has been really bullish this whole time. So we're still bullish on the daily. The 3 day is starting to put in a little bit of divergence, but it's not enough to really care about yet. It's like pretty much equal, and the RSI is backing that up too. Let's see on the hourly. The hourly is looking fantastically bullish. This looks like we're coming back up to make some new highs this week. And since we do have all the earnings too coming out. But the big boys don't report till mid-October, you know. The tech stocks, the ones that people care about. So we're still same plan is in place right now as on the daily. When you get close to this 21, you know, get some long delta. So that's what I've been doing up until now. Let's see if the Nasdaq is kind of confirming this action. Yes, it is. It is more obeying this trend line than the 21 exponential, but the 55 exponential, which makes sense as tech stocks are a little more volatile. It looks like it is making new highs as we speak, but do cautious that this is an overnight session, so that's not near as important as regular session, which is 8 to 3 o'clock Chicago time. So let's see if we get follow through on this. A lot of times when you get too crazy overnight, all this will get sold off when the morning session opens around like 7:38, when people really start getting active. But since we don't know that, we can't look into the future right now. It's still looking incredibly bullish. On the daily, though, it has been in the neutral zone for most of September, so that is a little interesting. How about on the 3 day? 3 day still looking fairly bullish. 4 hour looks great. And the hourly looks pretty good, although we will start getting divergence if we don't make substantially higher highs than this. You're looking for about 77.50 on that. All right, let's go to crude oil. Crude oil is kind of just flat from where it is. It is making like a little bit of a flag on the 1 hour. And on the 4, we need a little bit more candles for the 4 hour, but it is showing some strength for sure. The only issue is you are getting some pretty decent divergence here. I'm going to draw it on there for you. Right there. Make that different color. You're getting a little divergence there. Let's see if we can see it on. It's not as clear on the RSI. The RSI is pretty neutral with that. I guess you could call it slight divergence, though, because you are making quite a bit higher with ever so slightly. Let's just call it even, with even RSI tops. So definitely concede on the DMI. The bears are still pretty suppressed, though. They're having a hard time even getting in the weak zone. They're in like the forgotten zone down here at the moment on the 4 hour. Let's look at the hourly. All right, so on the hourly, we kind of had this divergence drawn. It did sell off noticeably right when it tagged it. So the hourly, there is a lot more divergence here. Except, let me adjust this. It actually needs to be right there. All right, so there is slight, but it's nothing to get excited about yet. Just see what happens in the regular session. We've been bullish on oil for a while, kind of since it got back in this channel, and especially after it broke above 71. And our target kind of was the middle of this channel, so it does look like it wants to tag up there at this point, as it's only another couple bucks away. Let's go to gold. Oh, dang it, not that one. I want to go to the futures. All right, we broke out of this box already. It was like our little kind of consolidation box. You know, I've been bearish on precious metals for a while, but they don't look great. They haven't in a hot minute, and we just hiked rates again. So the dollar, which is considered a safe haven, you know, is paying, you know, a better rate now. Gold doesn't pay interest, right? The bears are they are in the neutral zone now, but the bulls are like way down here in the super weak zone. So I still think this is a pretty damn bearish chart, and we still are on deck for one more rate hike in December, and it's like 90 something % sure it's gonna happen. And you can look at that on CME. They do future fund rates. It's like a futures contract pretty much to bet on if that's gonna happen. Yeah, that's okay. You can approve that, but don't approve any Bitcoin stuff. No, whatever. We are finding a little support on this little low here, but again, you know, obviously got sold off after the hike, and it's trying to regain its composure, but this is probably about a 618 retracement. Yeah, failing. This is not looking good for gold. We're probably headed down from here. I would probably be looking for maybe even like newer lows. I know that sounds crazy. Gold bugs don't want to hear it, but let's see what happens this week. The week after the Fed, you get a little bit better info to see if it stabilizes, you know? All right, let's go to Bitcoin for final thoughts. Where is the dollar? Here we go. So again, super neutral overall. Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin are showing slight relative strength. We are up a little bit from since I started this video. It looks like it's attempting to break out right now. This is about the 618 in this cluster too, from this move, from here to here. So, you know, this looks like it's getting some legs to possibly break out. This formation is slightly bullish, so it's looking fairly good. We just got to break above 67 from here on the 4 hour for me to get really excited. And ultimately, again, as we've always been talking about, the top of this green box that we've had drawn on here forever, where we've been playing most of these videos, at 6,900. So break on a daily above 69 puts us over this trend line and definitely targets us into this red zone about 75 to 8,500. So on the bullish side, look for that. If we break down from here, guys, like I said earlier, we will likely If it can break down at 150, we're closer to breaking to the upside now. 150 is like the support, so if we broke below that, then we'll probably come out of this box and test mid 5,000s. And that's about it. Nothing too exciting. Some more boring compression, but do know, October comes with nice surprises. And we're about to see one. So with that said, this has been No Noise. If you liked anything, got any value from this, please sub, bell, and smash. Ask any questions in the comments. Appreciate you listening. This is Z-Rex signing off. Talking to y'all tomorrow.